So it's late September, which in Ireland is the perfect time of year to go mushroom hunting, which is what I'm about to do today. And I'm lucky enough to have a fantastic old spruce woodland, which you can see behind me there, and a dog, of course, for company. Yes, thank you, Moss. Yeah, it's a really lovely old woodland that isn't commercially managed. It isn't thinned like most of these plantations. So it's full of big old trees that have been just left to grow for 50 years, and lots of fallen branches and dead wood, which of course makes it a fantastic place for mushrooms to grow. Now, I'm still very much an amateur when it comes to mushroom identification, even though I have been doing it on and off since I was a boy. And as we've all been warned countless times by overprotective parents and teachers and other people, eating the wrong kind of mushroom can be a death sentence. Some of them contain very, very potent toxins that can cause kidney and liver failure and brain damage and all sorts of horrible things. So with names like the Sickener, Destroying Angel, the Death Cap, and Funeral Bell, which is a variety I'm pretty sure grows in this woods, all being deadly poisonous, you know, it's no wonder people are cautious when it comes to foraging for mushrooms in the wild, and rightly so. But there is one species in this woodland that I'm 100% certain in its identification. It's one I've been foraging for since I was young, in the woodlands near where I grew up, and I've eaten it many times, both from here and other places, so I know with certainty that it's edible and safe. And that's the mushroom that me and Moss are going to go hunting for today. Hopefully we'll get some of them. So I'm also going to try and show you some of the other species of mushroom that I've identified in this woodland previously, if indeed we're able to find them. These are species that I'm kind of 90 to 99% on, many of which are in fact edible. But as far as I'm concerned, unless you're 100% in your identification, then you don't risk it when it comes to mushrooms. But it's fun just going out and identifying them, so hopefully we'll find some of those. And there might even be some mushrooms that I haven't seen before, new types, or ones that I've seen before but haven't even tried to identify yet, in which case I'm going to try and get them on the camera, and maybe there'll be some experts or budding amateurs out there who can make some suggestions as to what they might be. And if that's you, please do post in the comments, because I'd love to hear from you. Right, let's go mushroom hunting. Now, you might think that a spruce forest like this, which is essentially a monoculture plantation, isn't going to be a great place to hunt for mushrooms compared to, say, an ancient deciduous woodland or an open meadow or somewhere like that. But actually, it is a fantastic mushroom hunting environment. And the reason for that is that you have this kind of belt or perimeter of deciduous trees right around the edge of the coniferous trees, of the spruce. All manner of different species: birch, hazel, oak, sycamore, willow, hawthorn, many different species. And they kind of separate out the plantation or the forestry from the fields on the other side, which of course the farmers keep their cows in. And what happens is every couple of years, the farmers who own the fields, they cut back all the big boughs, the branches that are growing out onto their pasture, blocking out the light and stunting their grass. They cut them all and they indiscriminately toss them into the forest. So you get this kind of belt of deciduous trees, which every few years has an accumulation of cut boughs and dead wood tossed into it. And you can see right behind me, at least I hope you can, exactly that. These branches here have been cut by the owner of the field just over there, and they've been thrown down into the woodland. And what will happen now is over the next few years these will rot down and be broken down by, yep, you guessed it, fungi, mushrooms. And they keep doing this, the farmers. They keep cutting back the hedgerows and throwing the wood in over decades and decades, which, you know, I mean, think about it from a mushroom's perspective. You've got a quite dark, wet, humid environment with a huge amount of rotting organic matter, dead wood, which is what mushrooms or fungi need to grow and thrive. And you know, it's mushroom paradise, let's face it. So here I am beside a stream at the edge of the wood. You can probably hear moss jumping about over there. Beneath an old blackthorn tree, so there's a few slowberries on the ground. And you can also see there's an absolute myriad of mushrooms. At least I hope you can see. I hope the camera's picking it up there. The main variety of which, the main species, is this one here, which I believe to be from the brittlegill family, which is so named because the gills, as you can see, are very, very brittle and snap and break quite easily. Now the family includes species such as the stinking brittlegill, the nutty brittlegill, which sounds quite nice, and the oil slick brittlegill, not so appealing. This one, though, I think, is the fruity brittlegill, which, despite the name, is apparently mildly poisonous too, so not one that you'd want to eat. So this particular mushroom, and there's a few of them growing around here, is a member of the milkcap family. It's not rare, and you can identify milkcap mushrooms because if you damage them, particularly the gills, then they will issue forth a very distinctive kind of globular sap, which my camera might not be good enough to pick up. You might just about be able to see a few little bright orange dots, and those are actually the sap from the gills of this mushroom. It's a beautiful bright orange, and if I were to cut this mushroom in two, it would issue forth much more of that sap, which would turn a bright red colour. And that's how I know that this is the false saffron milkcap mushroom, and it is actually edible. Apparently it has a very carroty flavour, which kind of makes sense, seeing as it's the same colour as a carrot. Maybe it's got the same substance in it, I don't know, but that's the false saffron milkcap. Look at this guy, isn't he amazing? Easily 20 centimetres in diameter. And I can honestly say I've never seen this variety of mushroom growing here before. It's completely new to me. I'm going to pick this one and try and identify it, I think, take it home and check my field guide. Really sturdy looking mushroom though, and it doesn't actually have any gills. If I pick it now, you'll see how big it is there compared to my hand. Wow, no gills at all. It's a very kind of porous, spongy looking underside. I wonder if it's edible. I'll take it home and see if I can identify it. But that's one of the fantastic things about mushrooms, of course. In terms of self-sufficiency, they're such a great resource because they're free, and you get to combine hunting for them with taking the dog for a walk in the woods, getting out, enjoying nature. So it's a great excuse to, you know, go for a romp through the wilds while hunting for food at the same time. Aha, I just spotted some more. So this is a very, very abundant little mushroom. I don't know if you can see quite how many there are, but there are times when there are so many that the forest floor looks like it's been painted orange. They're this very, very bright kind of terracotta colour. And if I pick one of them here and give it a bit of a poke on the underside, you can just about see there, I'm not sure if the camera will focus, but you can see this white sap, and that shows that it's a member of the milkcap family. I think it's the curry milkcap, this variety, which would kind of fit with the colour. But it fits the description in every other way as well. They're about this size, they like acidic soil, grow beneath conifer trees, and they tend to grow in large clusters like this, so I think it's the curry milkcap. And if it is, then this variety is apparently best dried and served as a spice. I'm guessing it has a curry-like flavour. Who'd have thought it that you could potentially make curry powder from a little mushroom that grows in an Irish forest? Amazing. There are lots of other interesting or interestingly named milkcap mushrooms as well. There's the peppery milkcap, and there's the red hot milkcap, which I guess is like the curry milkcap but a bit stronger. And then of course there's the fishy milkcap. And no prizes for guessing what that one tastes like. So this is a particularly beautiful mushroom, I think. It has a mottled, almost tortoiseshell cap, and it grows quite large. This one's maybe about 15 centimetres in diameter, but I've seen them quite a bit bigger than that. Very stout, sturdy looking mushroom with a nice thick, robust stalk. And they're usually quite solitary, but I've actually found a little group of them here. All at varying stages of growth. You can even see a little baby one there just poking up through the earth. And they're called, I believe, the blusher. That's the colloquial name for them, I guess because of the colour. But again, even though they're edible, I haven't tried to eat them because I'm not 100% sure in the identification. They apparently have quite a sweet flavour, but they do have to be boiled to eliminate the toxins. So if you fancy eating this one and you spot it, make sure you do your research because they're toxic unless well cooked. Very beautiful mushrooms though. I guess the slugs don't have any similar issues with digesting the toxins because they often have quite a lot of slug damage, so they must be quite tasty. Aha, jackpot, found some. So these little guys are the common puffball. Not very imaginative name, but mushroom names tend to cut straight to the point. And as you can see, if I give these a little squeeze, they definitely live up to their names. And you can even see them recharging there. They'll gradually refill with air and then be ready to puff again. I've been eating these mushrooms since I was a young boy. They're very, very easy to identify, although there is a relative, the dusky puffball, which is quite similar looking and mildly toxic. It can cause you to rush to the nearest toilet or tree stump, depending how quickly you eat them. So you do need to invest in that field guide if you intend to forage for common puffballs, just to be 100% certain. But these ones I've eaten many times, including ones from this forest, so I know they're safe to eat. However, these little fellas are a bit too ripe. You can't really eat puffballs when they've got to this stage. But what I will do with these is I'll harvest them. If I take a couple of these, and then as I walk around, I'll keep giving them a little puff, which of course distributes the spores as you're walking around the forest. So you're actually doing them a bit of a favour there. And then you just have to wait maybe 30 seconds. You can see it recharging, refilling with air, and then you give it another little puff and let out some more spores. They can keep going like this for a surprisingly long time. You can go for a 30-minute walk, giving these a puff every minute or two, and they'll easily last that long. The air is now filled with mushroom spores. It's a great fun thing to do though while you're walking around. Just pick up one of these puffballs and keep giving them a squeeze. And of course, if you intend to harvest these to eat, then helping them spread their spores is a great thing to do, because next year there'll be that many more to harvest, because you'll have helped them spread their population across the forest floor. So it's a good thing to do. Give a little bit back to nature. And here we have some young common puffballs at a much earlier stage of development. If I put the one I picked earlier next to it, you can see the difference there. This one's quite a bit darker, and the hole in the middle has opened up, and this one's also, as we know, ready to puff out its spores, so it's hollow, whereas these guys are quite firm, very firm in fact, which is just how you want them. So these are ready to be harvested and eaten. Here's a couple ready to burst for the first time. I can't resist doing this. Great fun. So here we have one slightly less hyperactive border collie. Not much though. And a basket of mushrooms. You can see the difference in size between the as yet unidentified giant on the left there and the little puffballs. I will try and identify him. I wouldn't have picked him otherwise. He's such a spectacular specimen, he really is. Hopefully I can figure out which species he is. I do have a few good field guides on mushrooms. And these little fellas are destined for my frying pan with some olive oil. They'll be delicious with my dinner of homegrown potatoes, freshly caught fish from the sea, and maybe a bit of kale. An entirely self-sufficient dinner. Can't wait for that. So it doesn't get much better than that in my book. Thanks to everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and maybe it's inspired some of you to go out and mushroom hunt yourself. I'll see you next time.